Good morning, Kelvin.
Good morning, Joseph.
Uh, I hate to start off with looking ahead, but I was curious in light of the announcement a little while ago about Cincinnati's game tomorrow being postponed due to COVID. Have you been given any indication of how that may affect Saturday's game?
Well, we're working on alternative solutions to that too. I mean, there's a possibility if that game is canceled, there's a possibility we may be going to Temple. So, I mean, scheduling for this year is, you just call around. Like we've talked to 4 different schools today about different scenarios. We found out yesterday, obviously, that this was a possibility. But we're not at either one of those schools, so we're having to coordinate through the commissioner of basketball, Brian Thornton. He does a great job of just keeping us up to date. So we were aware of this yesterday, and so we started working with other schools yesterday, and I think we've got some possible solutions. So we'll see what happens. Just move on, and whatever we can do to just plug in dates, and if we can marry somebody's open date with our open date, that's kind of what it is. You can take the schedule we got to start the season and ball it up and throw it in the hefty sack and throw it in the Canadian River. That thing don't matter. Just because everybody's got, anytime you got a game canceled or postponed, it's not going to be canceled. It's going to be postponed for now. We just try to plug it in somewhere. And that's what we're trying to do. Nothing official, but we're working on different options.
All right, we'll go to Chris Gardner, please. Chris, go ahead, sir.
Coach, when you are preparing to face a team for the second time, how much, if at all, do you look at the first matchup to prepare for the second matchup?
A lot. Just to see how we scored our baskets, how they scored their baskets, where they hurt us, where we were successful. You can just, everything from baseline out of bounds to transition, offense, defense. Whether you won or lost, what the score in the game is irrelevant. You just refamiliarize yourself with your opponent. And the best way to do that is see how you did against them, even last year's games, their three best players, Rashal and Joyner and Jackson, are 3 seniors, and we've played against them. Joyner and Jackson, I think the 4th year, and Rashal the 2nd year.
All right, Chris, do you have another question?
I do, Coach. Do you have an opinion or thoughts on what the basketball committee should do for how many teams should be in the tournament this year?
No, that's outside my orbit.
Well, one thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
If I may, sorry, Jeff.
Go ahead, Chris.
They mentioned about having a minimum of 13 games for teams to qualify. I think tomorrow will be UVH's 13th. Any thoughts on reaching that 13th goal, total 13 games?
No, we play Tulsa Wednesday. I mean, I have no idea how they're going to do the tournament in Indianapolis, but there's a lot of people smarter than I am that'll figure that out. In my opinion, is irrelevant, so why give it?
Thanks very much.
All right, we'll go to Greg Bailey with KTRK. Greg, go ahead, please, sir.
Hey, Kelvin, just kind of looking back at some of the parts of your last game, your team sure does. It looks like they do a great job when you had your big run in the first half of just getting the ball to scorers in position where they could do their thing and have success. And they look like they all enjoyed that. How unique is that, and how much maybe is that a part of your culture, or maybe a testament to the kind of kids you've got in your program?
All of the above. Obviously, that's why we practice. You try to practice like you want to play, and you try to play like you practice. Our kids understand the pecking order on this team. I guess some coaches are hesitant to say who should be the leading scorer, who should get the most shots. I never have been. You make sure that when we run stuff, I said, this is what we're looking for in this action. And then in transition, it's just a matter of spacing and ball movement. And our kids embrace that. Our kids are very unselfish, and that's led by Dejan. Dejan is, when people back off of him, I told him he has to shoot that shot, shoot it with confidence. He works at it. There's some guys you can judge them by numbers, and there's some guys you can't. You may be a really good shooter, but you had a 1 for 10 night. Well, that game's going to follow you for a long time statistically. But your last 3 games, you might be 4 for 8, 3 for 7, 2 for 5, and that's more like you. That's why statistics and numbers can get skewed. It's like our effective offensive rating. I think we're one of the top 20 offensive teams in the nation. When you look at our offensive numbers, we certainly don't look like it. But, the possession is not over until we exhaust any and all means to go get an offensive rebound. So some nights our best offense is offensive rebounding. We actually do try to make it. But if we don't make it, then we have a contingency plan, if you will. But that's part of our culture. Every coach has a way that he wants to win the game. That's a question that you have to ask yourself. How do you want to win the game? What do you want your defense to look like? Offensively, what do you want it to look like? The players you have, what your weaknesses are. We all have weaknesses. Our team has weaknesses, and we try to stay away from those as much as possible, but sometimes it'll rear its head. I think that's called the human factor. But I've coached enough games to know that you're not going to play well every possession. You're not going to play well every night, but you got to try to win on those nights too, and this is how you do it.
All right, thank you, Greg. Are there any other questions for Coach? I don't see any hands raised in the chat. If you have a question, feel free, just let me know and we'll raise your hand and we'll get to you. Everybody good? Okay. Oh, hang on. Here we go, of course. Mark Berman, Fox 26. Mark, go ahead, please, sir. Mark, can you hear me?
Kelvin, when you talked, yeah, I hear you. I was trying to get unmuted here. When you talked about, I know as you said, you have a game tomorrow. That's your focus, your focus. But when you have a potential of a cancellation beyond that, and you have switching to another game, what is that like for you, as far as your preparation goes? Because you prepare for all these games and you're switching around. How hard is that?
Well, if we've already played the opponent, this is our second time, it makes it a little bit easier. It's not easy, but at least you've seen them. If it's a team you haven't seen yet, that's where the difficulty comes in. But that's, this is COVID, man. No complaints. You just move on. Just try to figure it out the best you can. Last time I checked, it's a basketball game. That's all it is. We just tried to, we were supposed to play Cincinnati, and let's say they're on channel 502. Okay, we're going to be on 502, play Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati's going to cancel. So now we have to play another game. Well, they're on channel 512. We'll just switch to channel 512 and move on. That's all we do.
One other thing, Kelvin.
If you're living in Ketchikan, Alaska, you better have a good winter coat because it's cold. If you're living down in Miami, take your coat off. It's warm. So simple. Life's simple. It's cold, put your coat on. If it's hot, take it off.
One other thing, how special was it to have Leroy speak to your kids yesterday?
Powerful. I just think that the more role models that our kids can see that are successful and came from backgrounds like them, and hearing their stories of how they got to where they are, and that you can come from the projects. You can come from tough backgrounds. And here's the things I had to go through. The thing I noticed as Leroy was talking was how many heads were nodding. They could relate to him, and that's good. You know, Leroy is a terrific, fantastic human being. He's somebody that I have great respect for. And on MLK Day, I thought that was appropriate, but also special. And I really, really appreciate him doing it. I know that he had, when I called him, when I called Leroy, whatever night that was, he was telling me what his schedule was. He had sprinters at this time. He had middle distance run. He had a workout here and a workout there. So he had to make an effort to come, and I very much appreciate it. He's a good man. Good man.
All right, thank you, Mark. We'll go back to Chris Carter, please. Chris, go ahead.
Coach, when will the conference announce what's going to happen for Saturday's matchups? When are you going to do that?
I think when we get everything worked out, Chris, we're just working things out. You know, when you have to, I mean, that's not easy to do what we're doing. I mean, just from an operation standpoint, you know, if you're supposed to play at home and there's a chance you can go play someone on the road, you do it. Whether it's home or away, you got to play everybody. We got 10 roads and 10 aways. We've already played 3 straight road games. That's not the norm. And I think we have a date. I don't know if it's set, but we have a date that's been agreed on with the USF game that got canceled. I'm sorry, postponed. And I think that would put us at 3 road games in a row somewhere. So if we can take, say, for instance, Temple has a bye this weekend. Let's say it works out, then, you know, it's a jumbled mess. Right now, I just know we play Tulsa for sure Wednesday. So far, not for sure, but so far that's looking good, you know. And after that, you guys are asking the right questions, and we'll do our best to get it to you so you guys can get it out. But right now, the only thing for certain is we're going to play Tulsa tomorrow. Looks like the Cincinnati game is going to be canceled. I'm sorry, postponed. And we're working feverishly to find a game that fits that we can play on Saturday. And that's looking good.
All right. Thank you, Chris. We've got time for 1 or 2 more questions. We'll go back to Joseph Duarte for 1. Joseph, go ahead, sir.
Kelvin, along those lines, you did kind of hit on it a little bit, but I was curious. Do you get a sense that because of all the moving parts, that the conference is a little bit more amenable to what they can do in terms of working with schools and trying to fit the pieces? I mean, like nothing's off the table, so to speak, in terms of being able to get as many games in. And is that sort of a would you prefer to avoid playing that week leading up to the conference tournament, that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Yeah, we've put some thought on that. When we're doing the scheduling, the conference really doesn't have anything to do with it. It's the schools. Like, we're working with 2 schools right now. We've had serious conversations this morning with 4 schools, not just about this Saturday, but, you know, USF, we got to reschedule that game, right? And we're going to have to now reschedule the Cincinnati game somewhere. And we have 2 other games we could play. Yeah, I was thinking about adding another team. Obviously, you're not going to get a good team to come here. We're certainly not going on the road anywhere in one of those 2 games. So we'll figure out, maybe we can plug a game in. We'll just see if it fits based on our postponements and where we're going to have to add those games. But, you know, every morning that we come in here, it's usually preparation, practice, recruiting, scheduling. But this week it's been scheduling. We spent more time on scheduling than anything else this week. As a matter of fact, since I've been talking to you, I've had 2 texts and 2 calls I've got to get to about Saturday. So I think Wednesday is looking good as long as Tulsa's kids are safe and healthy, and our kids are safe and healthy. I think Wednesday's okay. Now we just got to get Saturday set, and then next week, I think I don't even know who we have next week, to be honest with you.
Right.
I have no idea who we play after. I know we have Cincinnati Jan. Who we got next week?
Oh gosh,
I don't even know.
I usually know that, but no, I don't.
Yeah. So the scheduling thing is just a it's just like chasing rabbits. We're just trying to. Sometimes I feel like we're chasing 5 at the same time.
You're at Tulane and you host SMU.
That's next week.
Yeah, that's next week. Just to be clear, Kelvin, when you say the possibility of different teams, would you be, if you can't match up conference games, would you try to go out of conference?
No.
No, it would strictly be a conference opponent. Okay.
We're going to play a conference opponent. So I feel good we're going to play somebody Saturday in the conference. But it's too, I mean, you're not going to find another non-conference game in 3 days. I mean, tomorrow's Wednesday. And the only way you can get somebody to match up is if they match up with your schedule. And that's the chance of that happening is very slim, especially when you're trying. That's the great thing about, there's some teams in our league that probably are a little bit concerned about their net ranking. And so I know I've been in contact with coaches in our league that are actively trying to schedule some ranked teams, some really good teams, so they can get their net ranking up. We haven't thought about that. We're just trying to figure out how to plug in these postponements and seeing if we can't get everything to match up prior to that last week. Because if you get to that last week, I think every team should plan on playing 3 games in 3 days or 4 games in 4 days. When you start adding games that week, now you're backing up to the tournament, and you don't want to play a game on a Tuesday and then the tournament starts on Friday. Let's say you win Friday, Saturday, and you play Sunday, then you're playing 4 games in 6 days, 7 days, 6 days really. So no, we're just it's like musical chairs and moving parts and watching it all in 3D.